Dax, absolutely, and completely agree with that. And we're early enough in this. I wanted to address at least a couple of them. And Suno, I think there was a question in there in the QA, and I think that had to do with the question you had on whether TDV data virtualization was replacing some MDM and those type of those ones. I forget the exact question, but I agree. Suno mentioned it did not replace reports, but enable better reporting. That is kind of a mixed bag there because, and we'll try to send out the link to our last one for any guys who were not able to see the data virtualization one, maybe as part of the follow-up from this. But we go deep into that. And certainly data virtualization can be used in a lot of different ways, and it can be used to completely replace data warehouses and those type of things. Typically, that's not the use cases that we work with or that we see as the right path. As you mentioned, it's just a way to enable and work along with those data warehouses, MDM projects and those type of things to be able to provide a faster access outside of that. I say faster is probably a much more detailed technical way of saying that, but agree with that. I try to answer it in this. I'll let other people answer that as well. But I thought that was interesting. I want to make sure that we capture where that response had come to in there. So anyway, Dax, appreciate that. Again, these are just a small sample of the conversations we're having, but I did want to tie this back together with some real real world data type of conversations that we are having. So you guys can kind of get a flavor of where some of those tools that Jeff talked about, how those things actually work together and creating that data fabric and seeing how some of those things come together. So, and we've done that, for a long time. This is, the ideal of data fabric is not really new. The ability to be able to actually have a way to create products and stuff around that and pull those together is something I know TIBCO is a leader in, as Jeff mentioned. And we're super excited about that because, again, we've had conversations back since we've been doing Omni MDM back in the IWA days and pulling those together with web focus reports and all the other things that came in. How do you bring streaming data into that? And what if we have parts that are on prem and off and in the cloud? So definitely very relevant. What I wanted to do really quick now is, and I'll try to be as brief as possible in this, but once you kind of understand where this need comes from, the need to be able to have that data fabric to support your analytics that you have, what does that mean for you? How do you actually, because every one of these is different. You saw Dax presented for, and like I mentioned before, we have just volumes of these that we work with and work with different clients because every client is different and their needs are different. How do you understand what the right architecture is for you and how to actually get and become what everybody is talking about today, being data mature in your data architecture? So I put roadmap to maturity. One thing I will mention here, and again, this is kind of an overused type of statement, but data maturity is not it is a journey. It is not a destination. And the only thing I will preference that with is there are destinations along the way, and we tend to refer to them more as, our goals and where we're trying to go now. But being data mature means being able to set multiple destinations and continue to grow with your data. So there's no final destination. If we do this, this, and this, and we put up this architecture and we do this, then we're now data mature for the rest of our lives. Because as we all know, and as you saw in Jeff's, one of his slides that had all those different pieces on it, all those pieces will be different in the next year or two. I say all of them. You'll see lots of new ones come in. And so being able to truly understand what works best for you now and what works best for you and where you're going as a company is definitely a journey that we are excited to take with clients and help them go out and excited to go into. From that, and that's any journey, and I know I still remember back to my kids' days when I was in the car and we were taking a journey and we continued to say, "Are you there yet? Are you there?" And I actually remember those words coming out of my mouth. But what does it mean to be data mature and to be on that journey? And from the groups that we've worked with, the organizations we've worked with that are very successful with this, that we see having success and we see that are truly moving towards being data-driven organizations, which again is just another keyword out there. But we wanted to kind of look at those clients and see what are some common things about them that have helped them get there and kind of be able to capture that and get it back to you guys. And so what we did was, organizations that get it as far as, data, being on that journey to data maturity, number one, are data educated. And, again, super excited for all the people that are on this webinar. I think that's a part of being educated, be able to listen to people in the industry that are working with this stuff on a daily basis. getting out there, reading blogs, whatever information that you can get. Even more than that, being involved in the projects that you're working on, and how do you actually implement some of these things, knowing which things are just fads and which things are actually creating value. Just being educated in this space, you've got to know, because like I mentioned before, there's going to be tons of different products that come out over the next year or so. Wasn't that long ago that we were talking about data warehouses, and then data lakes, and then data puddles, and there's all kinds of different terms that come out now. What makes sense is this right for us, and should we be looking at this or not? Or just being educated on what value those things bring and how they fit in your organization is truly the first step, and something I think that you need to do throughout obviously a career, but throughout your journey here. The second thing is, and I think this is a step that gets missed all too often, is understanding how the data management stuff that you have within your organization fits into the overall business. Every business, for the most part, should have some objectives. They should have lots of different things that they call it keys to success, whatever it is that they feel like is going to drive their business forward and cause them to be successful, give them the competitive advantage that they need from a business perspective to beat the competition. How does data fit into that? And Aditya is going to talk to you a little bit more about something that we're doing together as a group here in a minute, and I'll let him kind of go deeper into the nuts of that. But we've done these in the past a lot, and I hate the word business IT review. We'll probably change the name of this, but just a business review of from a data and an analytics perspective, how are those things supporting your overall business goals? Or what is your business goals that you have in the first place? Forget about tools, forget about any software vendors that you're working with. Just what are your business goals, and how are you looking to achieve them through your data, and where does that stuff come into play? So that to me is first step. Unfortunately, it gets missed too often, but I will say that most of the companies that we work with that at least start down this road and really tie things back to the business initiatives are the ones who, number one, get funding for what they're trying to do, and number two, are successful in what they're trying to do and help truly make a difference in the organization. So we came up with that, and like I said, and Aditya is going to talk to you more in depth about something that we're offering as part of this webinar as well. Know their data. Again, I think this is pretty key right now, but a lot of times people, when we say know their data, they say, okay, I know I have this data warehouse, I have these data sources here and here, but what data do you not have that you need? So truly understanding not only what data you have, which is very important, but also understanding what data sources are we needing to be able to, are we missing, what gaps do we have in data to be able to truly meet our business goals that we're trying to meet, and to really make a solid infrastructure for ourselves from a data management perspective. And we do data reviews. Again, a lot of these things are probably part of a bigger assessment that we'll do a lot of times with people, but data review definitely is part of that to understand where those gaps are. So the next thing is understanding where you are on that journey. And when we talk about data maturity, we have a nice graphic that we use, and it's actually a table. It kind of lays that out. We continue to kind of work with it as far as where do you land on the data maturity scale. And again, for everybody that's different. So it doesn't have like, if you do this, this, and this, you're at this level. It's more on, how are you meeting certain data goals that you've set for yourself, and those type of things individually, not as just a set data maturity for everybody in the business, because like I said, everybody is individualized. So we do help with that as well, and kind of get a feel for your organization and the things that you need to be doing, and where do you fit on that. Understanding your resources. And this is truly key, again, to be able to be successful, just like understanding your business. Who do we have in our organization? From a management support, what management is supporting our initiatives and helping us get funding for the projects we're trying to get done. Who do we have that has a technical understanding to be able to do the things that we need to be able to do, understands products we're using, whatever that is. And, who are we partnering with? A lot of times we work with people ourselves as partners to help do some of the technical things, or even, helping them understand the business value, but making sure that you have resources internally and are filling gaps externally with partners to be able to do whatever it is that you need to be able to accomplish. And we like to, when we work with people, to put together what a plan, what resources you need and where those people are going to come from. Because again, on all these things, the people are going to be the most important part of your success here. Have a plan. Understanding what data models need to be created and architecture, having those plans built out, understanding your overall data roadmap. Again, that's something you'll have to revisit over and over again as you continue to grow. But having a roadmap spelled out as far as this is where we're going, just like if you're driving somewhere, you want to understand where you're going. Having those plans there is definitely key to this, and building out phased implementations along the way. Um, I don't think we've ever worked with anybody that put together, a plan and said, "Hey, we want to go from here to the end, get all this done, and we're good to go," because it never happens that way. You have to build a phased implementation where you're building in opportunities to create business value along the way, where you're having successes built in and able to show value throughout the things, whether that's 30, 90 days, whatever, is the right way for you to do that. But truly implementing a plan and a phased approach to make sure that you're building in success throughout is key to that. So having all that stuff planned together and having a plan for this rather than just kind of saying, okay, we've got all this stuff together, now let's just kind of go with it and see where we go. Having that plan together truly is something that, takes a little bit of time, not a lot, but is very key to this as well. The other thing we put in there that is coming up, in the last 5 years, not 10 years, more and more, is just developing data pipelines. Again, with data being, kind of all over the place these days, and people are building data warehouses, data lakes, lots of different, MDM solutions, but still needing to be able to pull in data very quickly, like we talked about our last episode on the data virtualization stuff. How do we create those data pipelines to be able to access data when we need it, and not have to go through, maybe a 6-month project to be able to get new data into a data warehouse or to a data lake or wherever you're keeping your data at. Data ops is something that has come up quite a bit in that. There's, this, again, it's just a term that we won't go into on this one, but being able to create those data pipelines where you can quickly bring in data from whatever sources you need to and use them for your analytic purposes, whatever you need to do. And sometimes you keep those, sometimes you use them for the time of it, and then you kind of let it go. So just being able to have that flexibility we see more and more today is just key to being able to quickly react to people's needs within inside your organization for data and helping them truly become data sufficient. So and again, as you would expect, continually review and grow, because again, there's no true destination on this. It's just continuing to grow with this and find goals and set goals, be able to hit those goals and continue to grow with that. So we work with people a lot through this process, and more than glad to talk to you after and see if there's anything on. What I really wanted to dig into next, while we brought Aditya on, is he's going to talk about a business maturity assessment. This is something that we're doing kind of what TIBCO as we're doing period, but we thought it would be a nice plug-in here for truly helping offer something to you guys that you could take back now, work with us to do, and be able to at no cost for people who are on there to be able to find out where their business value is in their data session. So Aditya, I'll kind of pass this to you and let you kind of go in much more detail on what we're doing here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tim. So I'd like to piggyback off Tim's slide there, which is, each one of you have a vision on how your organization should evolve. But the pressing question remains, are we there yet to make this vision happen, right? Or what am I missing? Which components am I missing? What should I be aware of in order for enabling this vision that I have in my mind to happen, right? That's when a business maturity assessment, or BMA, really comes into play. The BMA is a workshop that we conduct strictly for the executive team. And it's a strategic conversation. It's not a tactical conversation. It's a strategic conversation around the vision that you have in your organization. What we do in a nutshell is we provide consultation on how to prioritize solutions in support of a digital transformation. We get to the bottom of what the business vision is holistically as an organization, and how can we help you get there, right? What's important to note here is that we don't talk about products. We don't talk about TIBCO products or services or anything like that. What we talk about is strictly components and capabilities that enable digital transformation. Going back to my point of strategic, this is holistically as an organization, how would you like to evolve? It's not tactical. It's not a point solution we're trying to drive here, right? And the question is, how do we essentially enable you by introducing components and capabilities to enable that digital transformation? And how can we assist you, achieve that vision that you have, right? Let me talk about the process a little bit here. The entire business maturity assessment process is free of charge, right? And it takes roughly about 3 to 4 weeks of on average for an engagement like this, where in the workshop itself is roughly 3 hours that we distribute over a couple of sessions. So the investment here doesn't have any monetary value. The investment here is time, and that's roughly about 3 to 4 hours. And the entire 3 to 4 week is really the time that we take to absorb all the information that you have and provide next steps, if you will, our recommended next steps on what you can do to achieve that digital transformation that you're leading. During this workshop, we have a dialogue around the business initiatives that you're driving, the challenges that you're facing, and the workshop is really designed to answer two things. First is to have a conversation around that business vision and objectives. The second is it provides an opportunity to do a gap analysis, if you will, on these solution domains and provide a roadmap and a direction on how to achieve that vision, right? So what do you get as an outcome of a business maturity assessment? Well, we did two things. First is we curate an EchoBack report, which is a very comprehensive report, roughly 40 to 60 slides. It talks about what we discovered during our conversation on the workshop, and it provides a recommended path, a roadmap, if you will, to achieve the business objectives in a phased manner, right? So if your state of nirvana is to enable digital transformation from a data science perspective, well, where are you in terms of data governance? Where are you in terms of MDM? Where are you in terms of BI? These are the topics that we'll have in order to say, okay, your end state is to do digital, is to do data science, and these are the use cases that you outlined. Well, you need to achieve these in order for you to be prepared to really monetize your investment in data science, as an example, right? The second asset that comes out of the business maturity assessment is a condensed version of the EchoBack report. Now that's really a 6 to 7 slider where it's really designed to kind of hit the recommended path, if you will, and really an opportunity to kind of have a discussion of what came out of the dialogue and more of a Q&A to say, okay, this is our recommended path. This is why we recommend this path. And, what's your feedback on that? And really kind of making sure that we are aligned in terms of next steps, right? So that at a holistic level is what the BMA or business maturity assessment is all about. And I'm happy to have an engagement with each one of you in the near future. With that, Tim, why don't I pass it back to you?
No, absolutely. I appreciate that, because there's some depth to that. I think that is great for them to hear. And like I said, the advantage of those who actually go through this type of exercise and the likelihood that they're actually going to see business or data maturity within inside their organization is just phenomenal. I mean, it really takes being able to tie this back to it. So I appreciate you kind of giving more of the details on it. We'll be sending out something like you see in the slide here. We've got a PDF that captures pretty much the same information, a lot of the same stuff you're seeing here. So we'll be sending that out as part of the follow-up for this. So, and then of course some contact information and stuff as far as how to get back with us if this is something you're interested in. But I would, again, for the minimal time that it really takes for you guys, I know when we say it takes 3 or 4 weeks, to do this, the 3 hours that it takes for your team to actually, or your management team to be involved in this is very minimal for the value that you guys will get from this. So, so appreciate you.